Hey folks, Dave Parrish here. Got another video. I'm going to jump right into this one. Here's what I'm calling it. Build a scattered schedule report generating engine. For lack of a better title, that's what I got it. This came up from a project I'm involved with right now and I was working on it this week. It's a trade association that represents farmers. We got several hundred members. And periodically these farmers have to fill out a report. Right now they're being mailed. We're turning this into an electronic experience. And then based on certain productions, they have to pay a small percentage. That's their fees to belong to this trade association. Now, if you know anything about Knack, the easiest scenario to automatically creating these reports based on a schedule might be something like on the first of every month, or a certain month, on the first, a task is ran that inserts a related report, a new one, into the account of the farmer. They get noticed or notified and they go in and they fill it out and make the payment. That sounds easy, right? Well, here's the actual case. Each of these farmers is assigned a code, and this is called a terms code. This is when they have to do the reports. So in this one, if they're one, they're doing it January through March, 2 February through April. There's all these. There's a couple others that just do it quarterly, so on the month of a quarter. And there's some that have to do it every month. So that's what I mean by scattered schedule. It's not straightforward. Now, for the system, if we had someone marked as 1 January through March, the system doesn't know what this is. All it is letters. It does not indicate from a database standpoint which months these reflect. So I'm going to show you how I built an engine. I'm calling it an engine that handles this for all the scenarios and inserts the proper reports at the proper time. So let's, this one's interesting. Let's jump into it. Okay, let's go for it. I'm going to take it to the app. And down here, we have terms code. This is these things that each farmer is assigned and how they're going to get reports and the frequency they got to fill them out. So they each have one of these. First thing we got to do is, from the data side, we got to do some stuff so the system knows what's going on. There's two things we're going to do here. One, we're going to look at these, and I got another one. Terms code months. So again, let's say this, or 1. That means they're reporting January, February, March. So here's how you handle it. It doesn't matter which one it is. Open this, and we have a list of all these codes right here. And then we're going to do this. We're going to put conditions on them. And by the way, the settings for this is check boxes. Because someone could have, let's say, 1, they need to do January, February, March. That's more than 1. So we're picking more than one. But we're going to go to you'll get this right away. If the terms code is this first one, make its values 1, 2, and 3. And by the way, this could be anything. I did 1 through 12, but it could be spelled out January, February, it doesn't matter. And I tested this too. If we're going to end up filtering, if the month is 1, the way it's set up as a multiple choice here, it recognizes, or it contains 1. We're going to do contain because it can have more than 1. It doesn't get confused with 1 versus 11. Like 11 contains 1, but it's not. It knows the difference. So you do this for all the possible scenarios. If it's 3, they're going to do 3, March, April, May. You got this. So now we have a value here that the system, that we can relate back to a specific month. It's just not text. And here's an example. I just have one farmer in here because I'm in the middle of building this, but you'll get it. If they're May through July, we get these values. If I change that, I'll change it to all 12 months. They're going to do all 12. Come on. This stuff's in the way. Here, 12, Come on. Submit. Now it puts in all the right numbers. So do another one. I don't care. 7. Puts in the right ones. That's how you do that with... this will come into play in a minute, but we can do that with a conditional rule. And then I'm doing another... this will come into play quickly too. I want to know what the current date is. Like anytime... what is the date today? It doesn't matter what day. I want to know the date. And out of that, I want to draw... what month is it? In this case, it's January. It's 1. That is done with one of these equations. Current date. Well, current date is done with this right here. If you know how to use it, I have another video on this. Or also, then we have the current date and we want to get the month out of it. There's a function, I got another video on this one too. Get date month of the current date. That'll return 1, 3, whatever. So we got those in place. So now it's time to build the engine. Now the engine is with tasks. And I got a bunch of tasks that run every month. And I'll show you. And on the first task I have is actually update the current date. I don't know if I need this. A few years ago you did need it because Knack wouldn't... a day would go by and the current date would remain the same. So by doing a trick here, I have something called update. I'm running this every day and I'm just changing its value to this X. It could be whatever. This is an off to the side field. But when it does this every day, it goes through each record and does it. It forces it to put the right date in. This missing the current date may have been taken care of by Knack when they changed their backend infrastructure, what, a year and a half ago, 2 years ago. But I'm still doing it just in case. So here's what we do. I'll just look at a couple of these because they're all the same. Here's how we do this. I'm going to have this task run monthly. And the day they want it ran is on the 20th. So it will run every month. I haven't paused now, but they'll be turned on soon enough. Every month on the 20th, this one happens to be at 9 a.m., it's going to run a task that does this. It says the term codes month contains 1. Okay, that's the first thing. So it's going to look and say, hey, is that second field we did to grab the month out of this 01, 02 thing, or the months, we're doing contains because someone who is 01, for example, could have 1, 2, and 3. So we just want to know, hey, does this person, how they're set up with months, does a January or 1 exist in there? And if it does, well, then there's a second criteria. And the current month that this task is being run on is 1. That was that second field we did to grab the actual month. So for people that want the January report, first of all, they have to have a terms code that contains 1. And since we're doing this for January, we only want it to run for the January stuff when the month is January. That's 1. And then the second thing, inserts the report. It inserts a connected writer, new report connected to the handler, which is the farmer. And then we grab a few values. So we just do this for every single one. February is going to be a similar thing. Does the people have a terms code that contains February? And is today in the month of February? Create a report. We're going to do that. We continue to do this for each one of those. Here's how I have this set up too. Let me look at here. I did this schedule. First of all, the current update task runs every morning at 3 a.m. And I just picked some other times. I may change these to earlier. But I made sure I don't want to run multiple tasks at the same time. I don't know that that's a horrible thing. This isn't a power task. So they're pretty simple. But so I have my report creation doing at 9, 10, the top of the hour through the day. And I also have a second email that goes out, or a second task that runs that creates an email that's going to notify. So there's an email thing. Instead of inserting a new record, it's going to send an email to the farmer saying, hey, go to your account and fill out this report. And here I stagger them in terms of January report creation starts at 9 a.m. The email goes out at 9:30. Same criteria for each of these, except one is creating a record for a report and one is sending out a notification email. So this just goes through this. That's pretty much it. This thing here is my report generation engine. And it's pretty tight. Again, a few years ago, Knack had some issues with tasks. They just wouldn't run. I haven't experienced that since their new back end infrastructure was changed. So I don't think there's a problem with this. I'm going to monitor it. But this thing will just keep going and going and going and send out the correct, insert the correct report and send out the correct email to notify them. Now here's a question for you folks out there. One, for any of you custom code junkies, would you approach this a different way? Or even, is there a different way natively to do this? Or for your make junkies out there, would you do this with a make scenario? This is a little tedious building, and there's a lot of stuff relying on these tasks being executed correctly by Knack. So again, curious if anyone else has any other approach to this. But right now I'm pretty happy with what we came up with to handle how they want reports to go out. Thanks.